Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Athletic Edge episode 2. Today we're going to talk about tennis and the recent Wimbledon tournament that just passed. And here to discuss with us, we have new guest Musab. How are you feeling, Musab?
Uh, I'm good, Xavier. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Obviously, there's a lot of spark about the recent tournament that's happened, and I would love to take your view on the general perspective on how the Wimbledon tournament had gone so far.
If you asked me, a guy who has regularly been following tennis, I would say one of the you could say we see a match once in a decade. The last match like that, the Wimbledon final I saw was like about of Nadal and Djokovic back in 2012. A match like that lasted for like around what 3 hours or 4 hours,
Yes.
and with the intensity that this final had, you see a cool and chill guy like Djokovic breaking rackets, slamming to the poles, just taking his frustration out, getting injured through his right arm, and there was drama on every second of that match, and ending the tournament with that much drama, I would say that's once in a decade moment for me.
Yeah, definitely. Personally was watching the match, and I had a party at the same day as well, so I had to maneuver with both. But the match certainly was it's a spectacle to watch because you weren't expecting Alcaraz to push Djokovic because
Yeah.
obviously Djokovic was coming in as favorites.
Hmm.
And he himself said it in an interview. He said that I'm thinking myself as the favorite. You know, I'm the experienced player. I have the most Grand Slams, and he's considered as the GOAT. So I would love to have your take on that if you think he is the GOAT.
Plus, you know, there were further reasons for him being the favorite as well. He had defeated Alcaraz in the French Open semi as
Yes.
well, and then again the record of Wimbledon being undefeated from the past 5 years, especially, and then the tiebreakers. He he lost after winning 15 consecutive tiebreakers. He lost a tiebreaker in this final. I mean, that's
Yes.
literally unbelievable from Alcaraz. So yeah, I would say uh, Djokovic going in as in favorite. Yeah, there was some things which didn't went in his favor, but again, I would say a wonderful final for me to watch. I would, want to live that experience every day of my life. To be very honest.
Yeah, and I'm sure all tennis fans agree with you because during that tiebreaker, I remember it was so back and forth. You know, Alcaraz is winning 1 point, and then you think, okay, you know what, he's going to do it, and suddenly Djokovic with his backhand, and or he hits a slide shot, and it throttles Alcaraz out of position. So it was very enthralling to see how easy it was for both of them to just beat off each other. But then Alcaraz, got the motivation and he won it 6-7 in the third set. And I just want to ask you, where do you think it all went wrong for Djokovic?
Um, I won't say that there were a lot of things going wrong for him, but I would just say it was his injury, which he was,
Hmm.
trying to save himself from, which went really wrong for him. Like before even the French Open, during the months of April and March, he was, uh, recovering from the injury of his right elbow, and again we saw that injury, coming back, being reflected in this match as well, and Djokovic struggling with his forehands in this match at the later stages of the game. So yeah, that was one, you could say, one negative thing which I saw like Djokovic struggling for, which a root problem which resulted in other factors as well of him losing to Alcaraz. And then, but again, going there were things going wrong for Djokovic, but I would like to appreciate Alcaraz. Like, he went after literally each and every ball. This wasn't something I've seen of him like from the last French Open which he won last year. I haven't seen him that much, going after ball, backing over those things. But again, credit to Alcaraz for fighting against the goat and trying to steal. You can say trying to steal a trophy from him, so at least he won't have that many trophies, so he can chase him easily later on and become the goat himself as well.
Yeah, I personally agreed there. I mean, he's only 20 and this is his second Grand Slam. Sorry,
Yeah.
second, yeah, victory. So it's amazing to see how well he's matured, and he has a very short career so far. So there's a lot of
Mm.
potential for someone like Alcaraz to be the next big thing in tennis, because obviously this generation has seen the likes of Serena Williams, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Federer. So he is the next big thing in tennis. He's the one that's going to carry on this game for the next generation. So it's very great to see that we're already coming to that stage. I mean, you can see in football, for example, if I cross sports here, Mbappe and Haaland doing a similar thing, taking over the mantle of Ronaldo and Messi. So, we're getting into that generation where you could say the golden generation of sports is starting to come to an end. Even Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, all these guys are nearing retirement, and you have the new fresh blood just coming in
Mm.
and improving. And I just want to ask you, on your personal opinion, were you really surprised? Because throughout the game, you could see that a lot of players were slipping, especially Djokovic. He was struggling with the shoes, and he
Yeah.
had one nasty fall,
Yeah.
which landed in another injury on his right wrist. You could
Yeah.
tell that he was stretching it. So I
Really
ask you,
exciting.
do you think that was the turning point of the match, that fall that he had?
That can be, but I won't say that was one of the major factors. That can be, yeah, obviously, because he was already struggling with a lot of things as well. So yeah, but the situation of the court, the things going around at the court. Then again, a player who has been really calm throughout the years of his playing, but again, credit to Alcaraz, he just tanked him. I haven't seen someone like Alcaraz, someone as young as Alcaraz. Back at the time in 2005, the last time I saw was the same Nadal. Fighting Federer like this, and this time I saw a young 20-year-old fighting Djokovic, giving him that much tough time. I mean, that's absolutely genius for him.
I mean, no
And
doubt. I think, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to raise an interesting point about Alcaraz, that he has never been a number one or never been an exceptional player, even in the junior tennis rankings. He has
Okay.
been an average. He's been an average player throughout his career in the junior rankings, and he started his career in 2020, and he just climbed the ladder. What I like about him is the most is that he's a very resilient player.
Yeah.
He fights against the odds. He likes to take on challenges. Just takes the yeah. If we remember the French Open, he won. He defeated Nadal and Djokovic both in that tournament. Taking out both of those uh, greatest players of all time in two consecutive matches. That is something which has never been done in the history before. Like defeating two such extraordinary players consecutively. So yeah, that's the best thing I like about Alcaraz. Uh, he really likes to fight against the odds, and a guy who like to climb mountains and reach new heights. I am like counting on him to like 125. I would like to at least I would like to see 25 Grand Slams into his name.
Wow, that's a bold prediction already. But seeing the talent that he possesses, it's certainly not far from it. And I do agree with you that he's so resilient. I mean, as a 20-year-old, I'm pretty sure Djokovic was almost on the back foot in the sense that he thought that he would succumb to the pressure. But when you saw Alcaraz, he was up for the challenge. Like, he was on the court before Djokovic after every break, just raring to play. And you could see the excitement, and he just wanted to play. He just wanted to play. I think he almost had that mental advantage over Djokovic.
Exactly.
And I think Djokovic was completely surprised because he, as a 20-year-old, to come into the biggest tournament in tennis and to beat the GOAT, and the way he did so is certainly breathtaking. And I don't think we have seen a final or a performance like this from both players, because they gave it their all. I mean, there were rallies where you're just watching, sitting as a tennis fan, and you're just like, this reminds me of
Oh,
something like Prime Federer versus Prime Nadal. Yeah, exactly. So it was breathtaking to see. And I do want to ask you one more question. Do you think this final was the official handing over the mantle, as Djokovic, obviously Federer is retired, but Djokovic and Nadal, being like, you know what, it's time for the new generation to come, like the official mantle just being handed over to someone like Alcaraz?
look, for me, when I you could say take out the history of tennis, I would say the mental was already past when Alcaraz defeated Nadal last year in the French Open. Because it was after that game Alcaraz had just you know got different attention from everyone, and everyone had looked over to someone really from someone young who is going to penetrate the big three and make his own name in the name of in this sport. So yeah, it's something I would say it has been done a year ago, which you are asking me for this final, because I've been seeing this dude from the, you can say, junior tennis. Uh, he likes to fight. And about this final, I would say he had nothing to lose before this final. He had already lost like a couple of times with Djokovic in French Open, in ATP Masters. So he knew that he had nothing to lose. What's the maximum thing that's going to happen is that he's going to lose again. So yeah, it's nothing new for him. It was nothing new for him. The thing that was new for him was actually defeating a guy who is like undefeated in the past 5 years in the on the grass courts. So yeah, that was something new for him, and he did it. That's all credit to him. He did it after all.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty good there. That the mantle was already handed over to someone like Alcaraz, and he came into the tournament as world number one. So it's great to see that the new generation of tennis is coming in. And I do want to ask you about the ladies' final that happened. It was a spectacular game with Marketa Wondrosowska. I mean, if someone can pronounce her name properly, I give them all credit. They have my respect. So I want to ask you the domination that she's providing in the tennis world now, after the injury that she had received, and to come back and then win. We'll get on to Ange Jauber later, but I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts on Marketa? I think we're losing him due to technical glitches.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was a bit concerned about Marketa because the injuries, the surgeries she had gone through, like from the past 2 years, she had like blanked seasons, uh, resting whole years, resting whole seasons just to recover from her injury. I was like literally concerned for her. Um, the last time she ever reached the final was back in 2019 in French Open. So
Mm.
it was after 4 years she came back. She was unseeded and defeating a player who was runner up last year as well. And I mean, that's exceptional. And I would say, and by the way, I really feel sorry for the Tunisian Ons Jabeur as well, because losing two consecutive Wimbledon finals, that's really harsh for a sports person, to be very honest.
Yeah, certainly. I was just going to come on to Ange Jauber. Like, obviously, a Tunisian-born player. She could have been the first Muslim to win the Wimbledon. Obviously, could have been last year and could have been this year as well. And I just like to ask you, personally speaking, do you really think she has it in her now? That because the doubts are certainly going to come into her mind, that does she have what it takes to win the whole thing? So, having seen the matches, do you believe that next year or the next tournament could be on Jobers?
Yeah, why not? Consistency is something she has in her veins. Her blood has that consistency to fight. Losing two consecutive finals, she would obviously see what have gone wrong for her, for the past 2 years or two consecutive seasons, and she would obviously prepare something different for the next season. Like Alcaraz, I would say she has also got some nothing to lose over here. All she needs is a title now. She is a resilient player. She is come from a country which is not very good at tennis. She got supporters, the supporters singing the singing song, which is usually sang for the Tunis national football team.
Mhm.
So she has that back, and I would say yes. Why not? She may clinch the US Open title later this year. Who can
Yeah,
say?
and definitely to the tennis community, she brings a lot of commercialization for the Tunisian fan base. Something that we've seen recently with the Indian football team, Sunil Chetri, and
Exactly.
now you have Indian fans just filling out stadiums in India. So it's like a big thing that she's involving, a country where people might not even think tennis is a popular sport. And to be fair, it wasn't before she came on. And, you have millions of people now backing her. So she must also have that motivation to go on and, win that title, just not for herself, but for her country as well. And I would like to ask you, after this sort of Wimbledon tournament, I mean, I'm sure all of the fan base must have been extremely happy and surprised as to how talented this was. Just wanted to take your, have your take on where do you think this moves tennis forward as a sport?
Look, I would say it's all up there, giving it a fight to sports like football and cricket in terms of popularity. Um, with four Grand Slams in a year, it takes a whole crowd towards it, pulling, all like pulling billions of people just to watch two people face each other and make and play, countless rallies with each other and, fight for the every last second that they've got in their veins. So, yeah, tennis is something to go a long way, a really long way. Like uh, I would say, like what was the Wimbledon had like what around I would say 100 or 150 million viewers
Yeah.
this year or the last. I don't exactly remember, but that was something that is something pretty close to cricket's viewership. Apart from the Pakistan India game, that's pretty close to the that's pretty close to a cricket viewership. And cricket is the, you can say, second most popular sport right now uh, in terms of viewership. So if it's competing with a sport like cricket, I would definitely give a go to the tennis, that it might go and some maybe become popular more popular than the FIFA World Cup. Although uh,
It's
it's a very long
a
distance
tough
to be
ask.
covered, but yeah, it's a very tough ask. But uh, who can guess? There are things which we have seen in the sports which we have never expected. So yeah, why can't we see tennis? Getting way more popular than football.
Yeah, I mean, as a passionate tennis fan yourself, we saw it. I mean, I'm linking it again, but we saw it recently with Formula One when Verstappen had won that championship. I mean, now he's
Yeah,
dominating once again. But when Verstappen won that championship, the viewership for Formula One had completely skyrocketed. So now that someone like Carlos Alcaraz has come in and won, this championship, the Wimbledon tournament, it certainly brings that new level of competition, and competition always increases your viewers. So this is very good for the tennis community now that you're having this fresh blood going into the tournament. And I just want to have your take on Rafael Nadal. Obviously, he is a proven great of the game. There's nothing that he needs to prove. As a realist, do you think it is time for Rafael Nadal to hang up the boots?
look, there are already rumors of him retiring after the U.S. Open, but yeah, I would say it's not about the records every time. It's about your health sometimes as well. And he had been struggling with injuries for like a lot for like around 6 to 7 years now. He's been struggling with injuries and getting on and off appearances in the Grand Slams in local tournaments. So yeah, I think it's time for him to hang the boots now. He has done. I don't think so. He's left anything in the sport. He has done whatever he wanted to do. He is, rivaled with the two most successful players of all time of tennis. And then again, he is also, you know, being the master of clay court, being the most dangerous player on clay to ever, grace his presence on the clay courts, and being an ambassador throughout the world for Spain. And then again, one more thing, he has also passed the Spain's tennis torch to Alcaraz as well. I would say, so you can say there is another Spaniard coming as well. So yeah, I think Rafa really needs to look over his health and really needs to just take a time and now look back at what he have achieved in his life and his career.
I think that perfectly sums it up because I think Rafael Nadal will always be etched in history when it comes to tennis. When you think of someone who has solidified himself in the game, you'll think of Nadal, you'll think of Federer. But I mean, like, you can see that Djokovic is still performing in these tournaments, so there is still time
Yeah,
for him to perform. But when Federer saw that his decline was coming and the injuries kept piling in, he had said, it's time to call it up. But and I
yeah,
can see the same thing happening with Nadal. I do agree with the fact that I think U.S. Open will be his last tournament, and certainly it'll be one of the most emotional tournaments, considering that Nadal is a fan favorite for many. Nadal doesn't have,
Definitely.
he has his haters, but definitely more fans than he has haters. So it'll be a very emotional tournament for all. And I think Alcaraz winning is a huge standpoint for tennis. I mean, certainly being a tennis fan, it's a huge, huge standpoint for tennis. And
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier for the community. And I've had a great discussion with you here today, Musab. It was lovely having you on this show and
Oh,
your
thank you very
general
much.
thoughts.
General thoughts. Just I would like to thank for giving me a chance of this podcast and making me analyze the things that I have always wanted to speak about. So yeah, thank you for all those things, and I hope this podcast goes a long way.
Yeah, inshallah, man. It was great having you, and I would love to have you once again. Take care.
Thank you, Zavi.